Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, and I'm here to bring you another commentary track with my co-host
Becky.
Becky. She's we are back for pod number two of our Oscar special, and this time around we have each seen a few more movies, and basically we're going to talk probably 10 categories, definitely eight. We want to touch on eight categories and kind of give you our picks and what we think about them to the best of our abilities, and then we will do probably a third pod here after Oscars night. We'll figure out how that works later, later on. But yeah, so Becky, from the last time we have potted, What have you seen since the last time we potted? Now,
I have seen Flow, Sing Sing, and Nosferatu.
nice. Um, what did you think of? You know what? Um, let's see. Flow is an animated best feature. What'd you think of Flow?
I think of the three, it might have been my favorite, which
Nice.
has shocked me since it's a movie with literally no words. So it's the emotion that they're able to convey just through animal sounds and nonverbal communication, I thought was very powerful.
It's yeah, that movie, as we were just talking about before we started, diving in or whatever. It's probably been my most like rewatched movie now from like 2024. I just find it that like it's 85 minutes. You're in and out. That the original Toy Story is longer at like 88 minutes. So like it. I mean, you're in and out, and it's just pure beauty. And so Colin, when I made him watch it, because I'm like, everybody watch this, like watch it, it's great. So when like I was watching it with him, he was like, oh my god, like he just like felt like the tension that is kind of just there through the sounds and the like ethereal kind of like score and stuff in it. Because yeah, there's no celebrity voices. It's not like a Studio Ghibli film. Not knocking them, because those are some of the most beautifully animated films ever. Um, but like it's just so different, and you're just following this cat, this capybara, this lemur, and like this like pack of dogs, and oh man, it's just great. um the water
Hmm.
is incredible. It's
It looked
incredible.
very real in a lot of the scenes.
it,
I was
it,
like,
it's
wait
in
a minute, did they put real water in some of this? Like, it was wild.
it's insane that because it's like I remember watching The Incredibles in like 2004 or whatever, and like when they crash in that like water, I was like, this looks like the water out of like a Rankin and Bass like short from like the Christmas specials. Again, I
Mhm.
love those, but it's like that doesn't look like real water. So like the fact that they just nailed that, and you
Yeah.
get a lot of it of going like in and out, and like the sound changes and like gets all warbly and stuff. Like I heard it a lot better when I saw it. Again, we were just talking right before we like dove in here. Saw it in theaters for the first time, and like I go see every single movie you can in a theater, because
Mhm.
like the sound, the picture, the big screen, it's just worth it. But like even hearing it for the first time in the big screen on those big surround sound, like oh man, it just nothing better, nothing better.
Yeah, I didn't have the privilege of seeing it in the theaters, unfortunately, but in general, I was enthralled by it. At first in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe this could have been like a short film, but as I was continuing to watch it, I was like, no way. I think it was so much better as a full film. It
Mm-hmm.
was very obvious that it was an animated film, but it was just so beautifully done. Like even the movements of the animals felt very realistic, even though it was obvious you were watching an animated film.
Yeah.
Made me cry.
And it's so good. And so one thing, the one thing that I love that both you and Colin, the only two people that I've like had a real chance to dive into with this, you guys both clocked the bird.
Yep.
And like so he was like like literally that bird shows up on screen, and he's like, whoa, whoa, bird, what are you, what's going on here? And like I was just like, okay, it's a bird. Like I didn't have anything else other than like it's a bird. Like you already see this weird kind of like prehistoric fantasy type
Yeah.
like whale in theater. My daughter, I was like, oh, look at the whale, and my daughter was like, Dada, that's a shark. And I was like, all right, it's a fucking shark. Okay, so like the 5-year-old kid says it's a shark. Where at least knowing it's a water creature, like we got that going for us.
Uh-huh.
Um, but so like it's that bird was just so crazy, and you asked me like what happens to it, and
Mhm.
I was like, I don't know. I think it like spoilers a little bit for Flow here. I mean, it's now out in theaters and it's out also streaming on Max, and like it won a Golden Globe already. Like, go see this movie, but if you haven't seen it, pause right here and then come back after you see it. But the bird, like you asked me, you were like, did the bird die? And I was like, I think the bird died, but one thing that I took from like what Colin said to me, it was like, dude, that's a phoenix. And then then you were like, and then I also told you like via text, I was like, I think it ascended. And so like because you see the water around it kind of blurble all up and whatnot, and then like you see the bird go up and then kind of become one with the sun, and then the rain and water kind of comes back down. So I was just like, the first time I watched it, I had no idea what to think of it, like what to make of it or anything. And I was like, maybe it was a phoenix because, like, like Harry Potter and like we've kind of seen
Yeah.
that kind of stuff before and whatnot. So I was like, maybe it's a phoenix. And like, I kind of was thinking that Colin saw it and then unprovoked by me was like, that bird's weird. That is like otherworldly. That's like a phoenix or something. And I was like, okay, okay. So like, I'm like, maybe it is that, but that's kind of the beauty of the movie is like, you don't get that answer. And you don't get
Right.
the answer of like what that whale creature thing is. All you get is that these animals are trying to coexist right now, like after this natural disaster that floods their entire world. Um, yeah, I love that.
And like now that you bring up the bird and like the rising aspect of it, I think it's really interesting now thinking about the juxtaposition between the bird's seemingly death and the whale's death at the end.
Right?
And that probably was the saddest part for me because it was like this whale was helping them throughout the duration of the movie. And then in the end, when the flood dissipates, it's just there's no hope for it.
Right?
But like they all come together and surround themselves so he doesn't have to die alone. And I just was like, this is like a metaphor for society, I think, and especially right now. It just goes to show that like despite our differences, working together as opposed to separately is more powerful than that.
Well, that's why, like, even rewatching it just earlier today, the cat looks from the whale, creature. Just for the sake of this, we're just going to stick with it, despite my daughter saying it's a shark. Sorry, Sloan, wrong. It's a whale. I love you, but it's a whale. And you see the cat though look from the whale looking up to that mountain peak where like the bird like ascended, being like, you are like almost of a kind, like you deserve to be up there too. This
Yeah.
sucks. Like, and like there's no words to that. It's literally just a cat looking up at like that, the whale like blinking basically, looking up at the mountain and then looking back and then like kind of nuzzling it, basically being like, hey, we're here for you, buddy. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Go watch Flow. It is so good. Um, so for animated feature, did you watch any other ones yet? Or did you?
I've only seen Inside Out 2. I have not gotten to Wild Robot or Wallace and Gromit. I think with Wallace and Gromit, I do intend to watch it, but it's kind of more of the same. So I just kind of am hoping that flow can be recognized, but we'll see what happens.
Yes. Um, so I have seen them all. I was actually kind of shocked by Memoir of a Snail. Like as a claymation movie, they just did things in there that I just wasn't like expecting for certain scenes and stuff, and it was just like, oh wow, oh okay, okay, sure, this is where we're going. All right. So like for that alone of like that kind of boldness, loved it. Wild Robot, I've talked about it at length. Like I can't think about that movie rationally as a parent, without like holding back like extreme tears because it's great. And Inside Out 2, we also talked about. I agree, it's a beautiful movie. It's a wonderful movie about emotions and getting in touch and trying to like feel and know what it is to feel and stuff, and like how to kind of try and navigate. But without a doubt, and Wallace and Gromit is just a fun romp. Like
Yeah.
it's always just been a fun romp. It's good stuff. It actually won the BAFTA, but I'm not surprised at that
Yeah.
because it's like like that's home court advantage. You know, like that's home court advantage. I would expect nothing less. But Flow is what I want to win. I
Mhm.
would love for Flow to win. I will be happy if the Wild Robot wins. Basically, I riot if anything else wins because those I feel without a doubt are just like the two best animated movies we got this year.
Flo does have the opportunity to win international film as well, but I don't think that'll happen. Admittedly, just with Amelia Perez and I'm Still Here, is that what it's called? I'm Still Here.
Yep.
Being in that list, but we'll see how it shakes out because apparently the awards are all over the place this year.
Right?
So,
There's like anyone who like has tracked this stuff historically is like, well, like Nora wins here and here, so like are we getting another like Brokeback Mountain where it like wins all these other awards, but like kind of doesn't win the big stuff at like the Oscars and stuff?
yeah,
I
we'll
don't
see.
know. But I'm Still Here. Fernanda Torres, she's probably my second pick, maybe third for best actress. She gives a great performance. I love I'm Still Here. I believe that will win international,
Mhm.
despite like if Flo could clean house and win international and animated, like I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Like, don't listen to me. I'm wrong about everything. All of my takes are wrong. But like I would love it. I like that would be crazy. But I think I'm Still Here, as a movie that I did get a chance to see, was great. Fernanda Torres, lights out. But I still want Demi Moore to win. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the substance. What'd you
Yes.
think about the substance?
The Substance is probably, I mean, as much as I raved about Conclave being the most underrated movie, The Substance was probably my number one of the year in
Mm-hmm.
general. Sorry, the dog.
No problem.
But I absolutely loved it. I am a horror movie girl. This was more like body horror as opposed to like slasher horror that people think about. But again, another movie discussing, societal pressures, especially around women. So a lot of that resonated with me. And I personally believe this was a role of a lifetime for Demi Moore.
Yeah. Without a doubt, one of my all-time like this movie I physically bought it because sorry movie, I appreciate you guys. Once Universal was like, hey, we're kicking this movie to the curb, movie bought it and like put it out there and started getting all this like Oscar like they backed it 100%. So like I want to like movie a small little like streaming place. Great. I thank you for putting it out on physical. Sorry, I am not going to sign up for your service for your streaming service, but I will buy your movies if you put them out on physical. I was the best I can do for you people. But with that being said, like I've had the opportunity to watch this twice. This is something that, like, the first time around when we potted, I did not see. So I've actually seen a lot, actually, as well. Like, saw Sing Sing. I've watched Substance twice, saw Flow a bunch, but like Demi Moore is insane. And one thing you actually talked about in our notes, and I don't know if we talked about it in that first episode, but I want to talk about it here. Margaret Qualley.
Yes.
Talk about her.
I do think she was snubbed. I do. I also think this was kind of like a breakout role for her. I know that she has been in other smaller things, but this was kind of like a big deal for her, right?
Yep.
She arguably was in the movie just as much, if not more, as Demi, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that their dynamic was perfection.
Yeah.
Um, I did not know this, but there was some prosthetics used on her. I was like, holy shit, she has the best body ever, but some of it was prosthetics, which is a huge nod to the makeup in the movie, right?
Yes.
So, I think that she brought, obviously, I wouldn't put her on par with Demi, but I think that she brought a certain, how do I put this? I'm like kind of speechless at the moment.
That's kind of what it was though, right? Like,
Right? Like they worked so well together. They were very parallel in very different ways.
hmm
So Demi was, this very insecure, older woman who felt like she was losing everything, while Margaret's character was, she felt brand new. She felt kind of felt like a Barbie,
yeah,
right? So she got this taste of all this attention and money that she's making, and she doesn't want to give it up.
yeah.
So when they start like fighting each other,
It's
it's so
awesome.
good. Yeah.
That first time where Demi's making the call and is like, so, a little extra time was like, was taken. Like, how do I get this fixed? The balance is the balance. The what has been like get the like random voice on the phone, whatever has been discarded as like, like gone or whatever's been transferred is transferred. And she's got this like old witch creepy like finger. When I saw that, I was like, oh, we're in for something, because you don't make that hand look like that and not give us the finale that we get
Yeah.
in this movie.
It is
Because like
not at all what I anticipated.
the last 40 minutes of this movie is like
I think I
out.
was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? But in the best way. It was so, like, the way that I described it to my friends was that it was the most grotesque but creative physical manifestation of how society makes women feel and
Yeah,
what they're trying to balance internally, and it's showing externally. And it was just gold.
it was it's so good. This I love that this movie is getting the acclaim that it is, because movies like we've talked about some like body horror movies, and it's being compared to a lot of things, but like ones that always stick out to me is obviously The Fly and The Thing. Like David Cronenberg, John Carpenter, these are guys that have always made like really nitty gritty movies, and I've just always loved it. I've always loved the invention and the technique of putting the makeup, making people like pop, and then like making it either like a little puppet, or you got things on like fishing wire and you're just kind of moving things around as they're shaking and whatnot. It's great. The the Demi Moore face on the back of the
Oh,
monster,
yeah.
the concept,
Horrifying.
the
Nightmare.
the
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my, it's like so unnerving. This movie is awesome.
Yes.
Um, every
The way that it's
nomination
shot, the colors, everything.
in Margaret Qualley is a force to be reckoned with now, because she is great in this movie, and it absolutely like, and it's the same thing with like Nora with Mikey Madsen. It's like, yeah, I'd seen her in a few other things before, but it is such a calling card, being like,
Hmm.
hey, be prepared, because like I'm bringing something to the table, and I'm very excited for both these two young actresses to see what they are gonna do
Yes.
next. And it is upsetting that Margaret Qualley didn't get a nomination, because I do think she was snubbed after watching this. Yeah, I think she was snubbed. I think she should have been in there. I don't remember if she was on any kind of short list for it. But yeah, yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. She's great. Um, the Demi Moore is just lights out. Like it's truly a
I-
performance of a lifetime for her. Uh,
I've
and
always loved me. I mean, I wrote it down in the notes, like her monologue in Now and Then, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, lives in my head rent free forever. And her single tear and Ghost gets me every single time. But this is just on a whole new level. I think it was
yeah,
extremely, she's always been brave. Like she's done like Showgirl and she's done nudity and stuff like that. But like this just was brave in a whole new way that I think a lot of actresses probably would have been like, hell no, like I'm not
yeah.
gonna do that. And so good. So
She's
good.
awesome in it. Just speaking of Demi Moore, so on the cover of the Blu-ray 4K that I have, it's of her sewn up back.
Mhm.
And so like so my daughter, because I'm a terrible dad and I leave things around all the time, I left that out and she looks at it and it's like, Dada, that's a big boo-boo. And I was like, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's a huge
it
sorry,
hurts.
kiddo. You probably shouldn't be looking at this. That's my bad.
That scene
Yeah,
was hard to watch, but again, in a good way.
yeah,
Like the sound effects that they use and bleh, it
yeah.
just was so good. I think
Literally,
it'll win Best Picture. It should,
it
but
should, because like if we're being honest, let's talk about best makeup here. If we're being honest, it's like it's really the substance. Maybe Wicked is
no.
like is
Someone would tell me why Wicked because they painted Cynthia Erivo green. Like, no,
that might be enough for it.
no.
Um, but I actually really like. So I have seen A Different Man for
Yes.
for
Mhm.
makeup. I think Sebastian Stan should have been nominated for that, because like at the Golden Globes, I think he was nominated both in drama for The Apprentice and then musical or comedy for A Different Man. And
And
I
he
believe
won.
he won for A Different Man. And that performance is actually really good. So I would love to keep. I think I even said it before. I was like, let's keep Sebastian Stan. I heard A Different Man is good. I can now say in the second pod, A Different Man is good. Sebastian Stan is really good in it. Would have liked to have seen him be nominated for that as opposed to The Apprentice. Um,
I didn't have
Otherwise,
to see The Apprentice, but just in general, the context of the movie intrigues me way more than The Apprentice. And
mm-hmm,
again, like we spoke about on the last pod about, just this general theme about, different societal pressures and things like that. And even in his Golden Globe speech, he was like, we need to normalize like talking about disabilities and things like that. So it's so refreshing to see filmmakers start to talk about things that otherwise wouldn't have been brought up years ago.
right? Or just people are like, yeah, we'll just sweep this underneath the rug. We can, that can
Yeah.
be our dirty little secret over there in the corner or something.
When it
So
comes
yeah,
to it was like spot on. Spot on. The scene where he's like peeling off his face, I had to look away. I was like, oh
oh
my God.
yeah, it's pretty
I don't
gnarly.
get easy easily. And I was like, oh my God.
No, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
But we also talked about Amelia Perez getting nominated for makeup and hairstyling, and that was just like shocking to me. I just think there are other movies that have better makeup and stuff going on than that. Um, Something we have both watched. I actually saw Nosferatu in theaters on Christmas Day, because
What
I
a
was
lovely
like,
Christmas movie.
it's a beautiful Christmas movie. It's a wonderful time. But you have also seen it now as well, and I gotta say, like the Count Orlok makeup and stuff for it is out of this world.
Bill
I
Skarsgård is unrecognizable. More
insane.
so than it. I even saw his face like in it, but he look at first I was like, wait, is that even Bill Skarsgård? Like I don't even know.
Yeah, that voice too, on how like deep and like girly it was. Oh man, it
Yes.
insane. Um, this is
He
another.
he mentioned how it was one of the hardest characters he's ever done, and he doesn't know if he would do a movie like that again. Which is
Yeah,
so ironic. He could play like a serial killing clown, but not like
yeah.
this creepy ass Dracula.
Well, I can only imagine like because like you see some of those behind the scene things, it's like he's almost like hunched over and then he's got to do this like deep voice. I can only imagine that it's like, people are like, oh, you're just an actor or whatever. I'm not saying you're saying this, but it's like, oh, you're just an actor, you don't really do anything. It's like, no, this guy's like sacrificing himself to
Yeah.
make this transformation and make it be believable for an awesome like visionary director like Robert Eggers.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen any of Eggers' other stuff, like The Witch with Anna Taylor Joy, or The Lighthouse, The Northman.
I have not, the witch has been on my list for like ever, but I've never given it the opportunity. And so is the lighthouse. And I should be ashamed of myself. But now that I have seen Nosferatu, I'm like, get on your shit and watch more of his movies. So it was
And
beautiful.
it just sounds like we're gonna have to do a Robert Eggers retrospective here in a little bit. I actually watched The Witch for the first time in a while in prep for Nosferatu back in like I don't know October or December or whatever, and I fucking love that movie. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it was.
Like he's just so different in like how he does things. I love on how he's just like you'll never see me do like a modern movie. He's like the idea of trying to shoot a movie with a cell phone in it, like he's like just turns my like stomach inside out, and it's like cool, man, because like the production design, which like they also got Nosferatu also gets nominated for like costume and stuff like that old timey piece, like you look like you're in that time. Like you are transported by all of that makeup, by all of those costumes, by all of that set design and stuff. Nosferatu is really great.
And I absolutely love the direction that he went with the character, actually, because I was expecting this like deformed, like, the original
Mm-hmm.
Dracula character. But then when I was doing more research on the movie, they based it off of the actual human man that Dracula was inspired by. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like that's actually really, really cool that he kind of mixed the two. It made it a little bit more believable, oddly enough to say.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt the ending scene, again, spoiler alerts,
Yeah.
even though he was like this gross, deformed person, for some reason, I just felt so much emotion between the two because they're both these lonely, like isolated people.
They're
I
like
don't know
Stark.
if I'm supposed to be Team Nosferatu, but in that moment, I was like, oh, yeah.
That's cinema. That is why that movie is so good because you get that feeling. You're like, shit, do they really belong together? Like in that moment, does like Lily Rose, does she really deserve to be with Nicholas Holt, despite us loving Nicholas Holt? Like
Mhm.
I love him. I think he's doing he's just great. Didn't realize he was that much taller than Aaron Taylor Johnson. Uh like literally those shots like that, like we're talking like 6 inches difference. Like I was like, wow, he's a tall boy. But I get now why he like was auditioning for Batman. Like he's a great actor and everything, but like he's also tall enough to be Batman at like 6 foot or whatever he is.
And he's
Um
in everything right now. Like
mm-hmm.
he was in Juror number two. He was in Renfield. He was in uh,
Nosferatu now.
yeah,
He has an entire franchise under his belt with the like new X-Men movies with Jennifer
yeah.
Lawrence and stuff as like him being Beast and everything. So like he's also done like the rom-com and he's done like the odd rom-com in Warm
Yes, the
Bodies.
menu. That's what I was thinking of. He was in the
Oh,
menu.
he's in the menu, but Warm Bodies. He's the
Yeah.
like zombie boy in that and stuff. So like it, he's doing amazing choices here, like of like picking his different films and everything. So I just love that. I just love that he is getting good work. Like like none of his roles so far have been like, oh my god, what are you doing, dude? Why are you here?
Well,
So I hope he continues to rock it. I can't wait for Robert Eggers' new movie, Werewolf.
yes, I did
Um,
hear about that. So I was like, okay, I think I'm on this train now. So
it's
yes,
it's
that'd be
so good. I think you'll actually like Northman. It's kind of long, but I think you'll. It's not a horror movie. It's a medieval Viking movie, but like it's good.
It's as visually stunning as Nosferatu. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I think a lot of, what made that movie so great was how he played with shadows, like in the beginning scene where he's like in the curtains and then like not, and how he was moving in the castle. I was like, oh my God. Imagine watching this high. Like it
Yeah.
was just, it was It was beautiful.
It's so good. I yeah, Nosferatu, watch it. Watch
Yes.
it. Okay. Let's move into some let's move into best picture. We got 10 we got to talk about here. Some we already have. Let's dive into Anora a little bit. Anora, what did you think of Anora?
I liked it. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it's maybe I went into it with a little bit of an attitude because everyone was like raving about it. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this. And then I was kind of just like, hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't not like it. I'll say that. I thought the storyline was very entertaining. It went from a Cinderella story to not very quickly. I think that was
Mm-hmm.
one of my criticisms, though. Some of the scenes were just crazy dragged out. The
Yeah.
scene where they come to pick him up, the dude, just lasted forever. And so I just was like, okay, like I wanted more character development. I mentioned in my notes, like even at the end, towards the end of the movie, we finally get some substance out of Annie and the movie blacks out. It ends.
Yeah.
I just was like, I totally get all the buzz that she's getting.
Yeah.
She made that movie. I
Yeah. Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
not a movie without her.
Yeah.
And I loved, just the dynamic in general about this rich, powerful family, but they really weren't like that powerful. Like all their men were kind of pansy asses. And like I was waiting for something really bad to happen. Like, oh my God, what are they going to do to her? But they just were actually very kind. So it was
Yeah.
just funny. It was funny. So now that my rambling is done, what do you think?
I agree. Mikey Madsen, another great calling card. She has like I think I kind of remember her from one of the more recent Scream movies, I believe. And so like I kind of remembered her from that. But this again is like a whole nother thing, like with Margaret Qualley and stuff of like just these young actresses that are calling out there, being like, I'm here now, like I'm here and be prepared for like what I'm bringing to the table, and I'm just kind of excited. I agree 100% that this movie does not work without her. Like it wholly hinges on her performance. I do like the guy who plays Igor, who got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's really good. I think we talked about it a little bit before during our first pod, but did you notice on how like the cutting away from like when something happens to like his face of being like, what the fuck, or like what is going on here? And he is also the only one who stands up for her and being like, Ivan needs to like apologize to her.
So apologize to her.
He's truly the only one that has like a little bit of like a heart, despite her absolutely ripping him apart.
Tearing him apart. Yes.
Yeah, like eviscerating him, and it's like it like I get it. Like I was like, he's probably the only one who won't do any of those things to you, but like he also held you down on a couch after like your boyfriend
So
got like
intense.
after your like husband ran out on you because some goons showed up. Like,
As a woman, I was like, okay, this is crazy. I'd probably be doing the same thing because with that level of uncertainty, you don't know what they're going to do to you.
yeah,
But he was like, she just wouldn't stop like kicking and screaming. Like, what else was I supposed to do? And it was funny. It
it
was
was
funny.
the juxtaposition of it was like great, of like all of this chaos and stuff, and her like yelling again, like it. There's certain things that like this is why like I like the idea of Sean Baker getting nominated for Best Director, because
Mhm.
it's things like this, and it's like the last 40 minutes of the substance that like if you really don't kind of nail these things the right way, if you don't cut it the right way, if you don't get the right performance, the right timing for these things, it goes from something like good to horribly wrong, and like doesn't work, and almost maybe goes buffoonery, and like kind of goes the complete opposite way of like what you want to do. And so yeah, the oh man, I, this movie is wild from beginning to end. Like I said in our notes, I was like, I forgot that this movie is about a stripper who goes on like a 2 week like crazy bender with like a Russian oligarch, basically.
Mhm.
Like that is the shortest, most condensed version of it that we can get. And it opens with just seeing a bunch of lap dances, and I was just like, oh, I was not expecting this. This is not how I was expecting this movie to open.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was just funny.
I think for me, it just was a little bit harder to resonate with the characters because I thought they were both very unlikable, and maybe that was kind of part of the reason why like this the story was so good. I don't
Mhm.
know. I just wanted more from her character wise. It had absolutely nothing to do with her acting. I think it just was more the writing.
Yeah.
I was
Uh,
very entertained by it, but it's just like like stacked movie list this year, and I don't think it's as good as this substance if we're comparing the two.
Absolutely. Let's jump into it. I mean, we've talked about the substance a little bit. Those last 40 minutes between the transformations, the Gwar concert that we get. Have you seen Gore? Like, or at least like
I
videos of
know
it?
what you're
Or okay,
referring
okay,
to, yes.
okay, okay, okay. I was like, because like literally, I saw that I was like, Gore, yeah, like that's
It
the
was a lot of blood, but like,
it amazing. It's some it like so that stuff like that though is like what I love from like the Evil Dead movies. Like
yes.
just the overabundance of it is just like it
Gonna
gets it
go hard, go hard.
right. Go big
Even
or go
the
home.
scene where what's his face is eating the shrimp, you're just
Oh
like,
yeah, that is played.
the whole movie is just visceral. Like,
Yeah.
it's
So
so
one thing about the movie that as much as I love it and as much as I like Dennis Quaid, this is like one of the most offbeat characters, like weirdo characters that dude's ever played.
yeah.
Originally though, Ray Liotta was supposed to play that character,
Oh,
and
he would have been fantastic.
right, like so
That,
he would now I forget like he was Ray Liotta was cast in this movie. Now I forget like in the time of his death and like everything if they had started shooting the movie and then they like quickly got Dennis Quaid or like whatnot. But like Ray Liotta was cast in this movie, and then obviously his untimely death made it to where I think Cocaine Bear is his last movie that he did, basically. But man, I like Dennis Quaid is great. He's really weird and like, but like Ray Liotta would have done something so different with it that I think would have fit a little bit better.
I
Because there's
agree.
no question when you get to the any time Dennis Quaid is on like the on screen like it's a wildly different shift in like tone and everything that dude's bringing to the table. It's like straight lines of coke to that dude. Like he's just constantly like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
It's also so great because the context of it, while he's eating that disgusting shrimp, he's basically being like, "You're too old. You've aged out of this role. We're firing you." And but
Yeah,
then like look at him, and it's like men get to continue succeeding for years and years and years, but with women, if you're losing your looks, you lose a lot.
right. Which is insane. And the like craziness that like that crazy pressure and everything that is put onto women for that. Like that's why the substance is great, and I love to see it here. And I love that uh Coralie, I can't think of her
Bar
last
shot,
name. Farjat.
I think.
We'll go with that. That like she's also nominated for director.
Hmm.
Like so we get Demi Moore, we get Coralie for director, we get a Best Picture nomination here. I think it's even writing for an original story, I
I think
believe.
she wrote it as well. So yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
familiar. Mhm.
and because they get like five, and then makeup would be their fifth one, I believe. Um, all well deserved.
Yeah.
Like I love it. It actually won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, or not the Palme d'Or. It won the that's for Best Picture. It won the Cannes Best Writing Award.
Really?
Yeah, for original screenplay at Cannes this year, where I think Honora won the Palme d'Or for Best Picture there, which
Yes.
is which is insane.
And
I don't know.
Conclave won,
Yes.
which is shocking at the BAFTAs, but I was very happy because like I mentioned, underrated film. So I was very happy to see that.
I love that it got so it won best film and then it won best British film too, and it's just like it's like BAFTAs. What are we
Yeah.
doing? Come on. Like, let's spread the love a little bit. We're gonna give Conclave best British film, like give the leave it be with best British film. Give somebody else best picture. But no. Yeah, and I rewatched Conclave too, and that movie still hums. Like that movie is still great. I love every little bit of it. I think yeah,
I've had
Conclave is
more
an
and more people come to me saying how much they loved it as well, too. So it makes me happy.
yes, yes. Conclave is great. Ray Fiennes is still awesome. Like I love that he got nominated. I wish Stanley Tucci got nominated, but he probably does need one or two more scenes of like him getting a big monologue that
Oh,
to push him over.
you
I
need
like
more than Isabella, and she got nominated.
that's true. That's true. But she's also like the only woman who talks in that movie. I like I don't want to be mean, but like
It's true.
she
True.
really is though. Because the like and any of the other sisters are just kind of like they're like just whispering or whatever.
I mean, I guess I would have removed her then and added Margaret Qualley.
Right, right. Exactly. So like that's the tough call because like despite Isabella Rossellini in her like really only three scenes and like um really probably her biggest point almost like her biggest like whoa I'm here is like when she's backing up Ray Fiennes character after putting out as my wife called it the burn books on
Yeah.
the table because that was the funniest thing in the world when I told my wife I was like Becky just melted my mind with this Conclave take and she was like what the fuck okay what is it Conclave is like Mean Girls with all the little clicks and stuff and my wife's reaction wasn't Becky's right she was like oh my god the receipts on the burn book and I was like that was her instant reaction to it is that like not that you were right it's just like here's the other level to that you probably didn't even think about Jimmy so here you go and so yeah it greatest take in the world is that Conclave one. I
It's
don't think Conclave is winning best picture though.
no.
I don't think Honora is either. um I would love The Substance to win best picture.
I
um
would love the substance to win, but just I haven't seen the Brutalist, but just something in my gut kind of tells me it will win. But we'll
yeah
see.
I think I think that's probably right. I think The Brutalist will probably end up winning Best Picture. Um, I don't know who will end up taking Best Director yet. We can dive into that in a couple of minutes here. But let's see. What else do we got? Amelia Perez and Dune Part Two. I think we've talked about, or at least like that. Like I, there's really no more to discuss. At least on my end of Amelia Perez or Dune Part Two. I like that they're both there. They're both well deserved nominations overall, despite despite all of the outsideness of Amelia Perez that has now happened with the or the tweets and all of that stuff, I still think Zoe Saldana is the best part of that. I hope she wins Best Supporting.
I
Like,
think she will. I think just it's been the trend,
yeah,
It- but well deserved. And like we
mm-hmm.
talked about an extent, I think, on the last one. So that's kind of where my head is going. I think she'll get it. I think especially since all this stuff was leaked, but it wasn't her.
Yeah. Again, like out of all the controversy and stuff that's going on, nobody is being like throwing Zoe underneath the bus because she didn't do anything. Like all she did is give a great performance in a now controversial movie, I guess is what we can say. Uh, Dune Part Two, it is a well-made technical sci-fi movie. I love that it is actually being recognized by the Academy that this stuff since like Return of the King and like Lord of the Rings and stuff has been now and including like 10 Best Picture nominees, Black Panther and stuff. Like I love getting these. I love having this at least recognition of
Yeah.
things like this. despite me definitely feeling it's not the best picture of the year, I do like that it is there with the nomination.
It
If
was
I'm being honest, one
visually
more time.
stunning. It was visually stunning and the sound was amazing. It just was a snore for me.
Yeah.
So I don't, I mean, like I'm biased, but I wouldn't want to see it win Best Picture.
Yeah. I'm Still Here is actually I love that it got nominated for Best Picture because I love getting more international films. Personally, I like if you're just like if you're not willing to turn on the subtitles to an international film, like you're literally missing out on 90% of film throughout the world. And I like not all of them are bangers. No, no, definitely not. I've watched enough like foreign films where I'm like, don't need to see this kind of film again. Like maybe if somebody really convinces me another kind is, but like explore. There's so much good stuff out there.
No, I
And
need to be better at that. But I mean, like, All Quiet on the Western Front, amazing.
mhm.
What was I've never seen Parasite. I know, stop. I know. I know. I know.
Parasite is okay. So you've got to watch Parasite twice.
Okay.
Okay. You've got to watch Parasite twice. There is the colored version, and then there is a black and white version. And my gosh, we can do a series about this about movies that are released in color, and then the directors are like, but I wanted to actually do a black and white version of it as well. Of like what it Parasite is phenomenal. It won Best International Feature, Director, Original Screenplay, and Best Picture in 2019. And so, like, wonderful stuff. Great movie. But that black and white version of that movie, being in black and white, literally adds a whole new level of like despair, angst, and like it just adds this whole new depth to it that I was just like, I did not even realize you could do more with this flick than you already have given me previous. Like all of the Oscar wins and stuff are absolutely deserved. That's like one of the few years in Oscars where I'm like, they got it right. Like like
I
like
can
like it
respect that. And I can
it
feel that because I feel like that's how I felt in Nosferatu. Like it wasn't shot in black and white, but the way that they played with lighting,
mhm.
like it like the melancholy of it all.
there
It's
is there's such high class filmmaking in both of those movies, doing different things but also saying similar things. But Parasite, oh man, check it out.
I
I think Parasite might be on.
think it's
It
on
might it might
HBO.
be streaming on Max. Yeah, it could be on HBO Max, possibly. Uh, but oh man, that's great. That's awesome. I'm Still Here. Really good Brazilian flick. Again, Fernanda Torres gives a performance of a lifetime. Really love that she's here. If I'm being honest, when it comes to Best Actress, I think it is between her and Demi Moore.
Hmm.
And I think Cynthia Erivo is third. At least in my opinion. At least in my opinion, for Best Actress, I really think it's Demi and Fernanda in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I did not see I'm Still Here, so I genuinely can't speak to it, but just based on the way the award season has been going, I can agree with it. Cynthia Erivo, I absolutely love her. I've loved her ever since I saw her in that one movie. The name is blanking on me. They're like at a motel and all these like murders start happening. I don't know. I forget what it's called.
Is
But
it Fun Times at the Royale or something?
something like that. I think Royale might be in the title. Like,
Is Chris Hemsworth in it?
is he?
Bad Times at the El Royale? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jeff Bridges is who I'm thinking of. My bad.
Okay, I was like, I don't
Oh no,
remember.
Chris Hemsworth. He's Billy
Oh,
Lee
he
in it.
is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
Hemsworth is okay. Yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw her, and I was like, she's something different. Like, she's gonna be huge.
Mhm.
She brought such a beautiful and new perspective to the role of Alphaba,
Yeah.
which obviously we had to compare her to Adina Menzel, but it was a stage performance. I personally think she elevated the role. So yes, very well deserved. Um, but maybe this is my unconscious bias when I was like talking about before how a lot of people don't take like musicals and stuff very seriously. I just can't get Demi's performance out of my head though. So I think that's kind of where it is for me.
Yep. The people that I've been thinking about most after like watching their movies is Fernando Torres and Demi Moore. I've just had the pleasure of being able to watch The Substance twice, whereas like this is a problem with like all international movies. I'll say shorts, whether they be live action, animated, or documentary, and even just documentaries in general, is that like they're so difficult to like get seen in American theaters. I feel like it's typically you only get to see them on streaming. So like a movie I'm Still Here, a movie I'm sure you'll love and would love to see in a theater, got released in America here in like the end of January.
Yep.
It's like we've also got like 2 months before the Oscars are done, and Oscar voting ended on February 18th. So it's like short of like us getting screeners, which I hope someday, hey, Oscar people, give us screeners. Give us screeners. We'll write reviews all day long for you people. Give us movies. Give us access to these movies. But like the accessibility is an issue for
Mhm.
people, like, and now there's like 1835 different streaming services, but like you're lucky if what you want is actually on there. That's why I have like an obnoxious like physical movie collection, because it's like, well, I've got it. I like my brother asked me when 28 days or 28 like years later was announced, and everybody was like, we can't find 28 days later or 28 weeks later. I was like, it's right there on my shelf. It's right there. It's like the third movie down on my shelf, because I do everything just alphabetical order. I don't break it down by genre. I'm not an
Genre.
actual. I don't have the shelf space to be a movie store like that. Like I would love to do something like that, but I just don't have the space. That would be cool though. All that to say, I'm Still Here is great. Fernando Torres is awesome. I still think Demi Moore will win.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Moving right along here. What else do we got? Oh, we've got Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys is a movie that I absolutely loved to see. This was a new movie for me. Saw it in between the last time we potted and today. I've watched it twice. This movie should have been nominated for best cinematography. It's a real snub that it didn't make that, and I think I even told you that like after I watched it, I was like, Nickel Boys, it's really good, but it deserved to be best cinematography. It's kind of criminal that it wasn't shot that way. I've never seen a movie shot like this before.
Yeah, I unfortunately I didn't have the opportunity to see it,
Oh,
but this is Hank. Just from watching the trailer though, I was like, wow, this is something that we haven't seen, you
yeah,
know? So I will get around to watching it. That's next on my list. So hopefully I'll have more to say. It may not be until after the Oscars, but
that's okay.
yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, let me know. I'm really excited to see what you think about it and how it was shot. We've talked about The Substance and Wicked. Like Wicked is a good movie.
Yeah.
It is. Like I will say, like I am still shocked at how well it does work. It is long in the teeth a little bit. Overall on a movie, it bothers me that in the beginning that they don't actually have any like little people in there like they did in the original for the Munchkins and stuff. That might be offensive now, so like I'm sorry if that's like not the okay take to have.
That is
Um,
one of the criticisms that the movie received.
and
So
so yeah, like that bothered me a little bit. The other thing that bothered me is that again they didn't have all of the monkeys were CGI. They didn't like try and do like cool costumes and stuff. Again, the only reason why I say that is because those were kind of things that were like landmarks and kind of hallmarks of like the original. So if you're
Mhm.
going to do a movie and you're going to do a movie version of a stage production that is a prequel fanfic to like 100-year-old book, and like 85-year-old movie, like um doing little nods like that, I think would have been nice to bridge that like film to stage and stage to film kind of thing. Just expressing that stuff kind of visually for it. So like other than that, but like it's still like insane that that movie works.
Yeah.
Like it still works. Like it kind of blows my mind still that it like works.
I'm a
You know?
little biased. I saw the play 3 times, absolutely obsessed with it. I went into it thinking I was gonna hate it. I was like, there's nothing that'll be able to top the stage performance, right? And they did it. They managed it. It was literally the play on film. So I think if anything, I wish they kind of played around with it a little bit more. I started to read the book and I was like, well, maybe they'll be a little bit more true to the book because it was 100% made for the family. There's a lot of detail in the book that they completely left out.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm hoping and expecting more of the second film. I do know off the top of my head there's 2 original songs. So maybe that'll bring them more Oscar nominations next year, but it was beautiful and just watching all of the information I did about how much went into the production design, I was like this is actually extremely impressive and this is the magic of filmmaking. So I didn't expect it to win like best film and stuff, but production design, costumes, things like that, absolutely well deserved.
totally. So did and you didn't see A Complete Unknown or The Brutalist.
Correct.
So I'll just say The Brutalist, it overall is like one of the best, like overall, like just made films beginning to end. It is a long film. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes with a 15-minute countdown intermission. But like that movie is very good.
Hmm.
It is a movie I only got to see once, and I saw it once at Music Box Theater, where I also on Wednesday of this week saw the animated shorts that they played at Music Box and the live action shorts that they played at Music Box. My brother and I went to that, and that was really cool. The live action shorts was a great chance to see them. Uh, like the only one that I know is available online is Aline, and like that one I know for sure live action short is available online. If you want, I can send you that link so that you can check it out. When it comes to documentary shorts, I'm Warden I'm Ready, or I'm Ready Warden is on Paramount Plus, and then Only Girl in the Orchestra documentary short is on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Other than that, those are literally the only shorts that I know that are basically available to like stream anywhere. Getting back to like access and availability of these things, you can only really see those kind of things like unless a boutique theater like Music Box like gets the
Mhm.
okay from the Oscars or whatever, gets is able to get the file or the film, whatever it is. But I got to say, the live action shorts were really good. The animated shorts were some of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. I gotta say, they were some of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. Magic Candies was my favorite though, so that's probably my pick to win. I don't think it's the favorite by like I don't know whatever other people judging it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, I can't speak to any of those. So yeah, I'll just stick with the whole accessibility thing. Like, give us access to these things, even if it's just a short period of time, you
right.
know?
Like, give us the download code. We'll watch it. Put a little, I don't know, 3-minute trailer or commercials before it. That's fine.
Or
Whatever.
be willing to pay for like a little package, like X amount of dollars gets you access to these 5, 6 films, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, give us access to these things.
So, directors. We
Yes.
talked about Coralie.
Hmm.
Um, Brady Corbett. Like, I really like. It's tough to say. I like that. I like his campaigning right now of being like, give filmmakers final cut, and it's like, yes, I agree with that to a certain degree. Yes, I agree that people who are making the thing should be able to say the final thing, but sometimes people are just bad at filmmaking, so like they need notes. I don't know. It's a tough thing. I don't know. but I like The Brutalist. Honora, I think again, it directed, like put together by somebody else in lesser hands, is like a mess of a movie. So like
Mhm.
I really like that he's there. I mean, Sean Baker did everything for this movie. He wrote it, he directed it. He doesn't star in it, but he's credited as a caster, as like one of the casting people, and he's credited as the editor of the movie.
Wow.
So like this is really like one of those things where it's like, this is mine. Like this is mine top to bottom. Like all the accolades and all the failings like land on his shoulders. So, and like it is a good movie. It's long though.
Yeah.
When they're like looking for Ivan or Vanya or whatever his name is, that's like literally like 35 minutes that doesn't need to be 35 minutes long.
I totally agree.
That part really drags at a certain point. Again, I like the idea of getting us back to movies that are 2 hours or under. Personally, I would love that. Those are like kind of my favorites. Like again, going back to flow, 85 minutes, baby. You're in and out,
And
and
it's so
that's not to say,
powerful.
but like the entire time you're engaged. Like
Yep.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about if I have to run to the bathroom or refill like popcorn or anything. Like I'm just so engaged in those 85 minutes that it's just great. Like I miss those kind of days. Because again, all of these movies are like that. Dune Part 2 is like 2.5 hours. Brutalist is 315. Honora
Exactly.
is 220. I mean, The Substance, to be fair, is also 220, and so is Amelia Perez.
Mhm.
Like all of those movies are like 220. I think A Complete Unknown is like one of the shortest of them, being like 2 hours and 9 minutes. Like, but like all these movies are extremely long, but they are very good.
Yeah,
Um,
they are. Yeah, I think it was probably one of my biggest complaints with a lot of them was that they did drag at some point, especially with Amelia Perez. Okay, they could have cut out two of those musical scenes
yes,
and we would have been just fine.
yeah, yeah. We could have, and maybe we could have gotten in place of that a little bit more of giving Selena Gomez maybe a little bit more to do,
Yeah.
because like she only gets the one dance number, and then like her and like Sophia's scene at the end, which we talked about, which you pointed out was like, well, I don't know, I think we need to talk about that. That's a pretty good scene too, and you're right. I stand by that too, and especially what you said, like it is a good powerful scene between them talking about like kids and like all of that stuff. So like I wish Selena could have gotten like, yeah, if we're gonna get rid of like two of the like musical numbers that like were just like, okay, they're
Mhm.
fine. Like let's give her one scene added to do something a little bit more,
Yeah.
because her musical number even isn't that great. Like it's fine. She's like weirdly dancing on the bed.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
It didn't bring anything to the movie, in my opinion, or her character.
Exactly. Um, so let's take a step back here. Best Picture. Do you have a pick for Best Picture?
The substance.
The Substance. Okay. I Oh man, I would love The Substance to win. I think The Brutalist will win Best Picture.
I do too.
Okay, director. Who do you think will win? Who do you want to
Probably
win?
the brutalist.
Brady
Just
Corbett. Yeah.
my gut is saying that. I would love to see Coralie, just again because of the amount of research that I put into it with this film, just watching some of the techniques she used, I was like, especially with a smaller budget, she wasn't working with as large of a budget as some of these other films, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's
Um,
how I feel, but I don't know if that'll be the case.
so I will riot if James Mangold wins Best Director for A Complete Unknown. Because James Mangold has directed way better movies than A Complete Unknown. Complete Unknown, I like. It's a good movie. If I'm being honest, I really think Timmy's gonna win it, like Best Actor, but director,
You think?
I really think Timmy's gonna win Best Actor.
I will gag. Didn't see it. I didn't see it. He hasn't won a damn thing.
I the Oscars, like, so hold on. Let me get director, and then we'll jump right into Best Actor. I I would love to see Coraline win
Mm.
because other than makeup, if they win anything other than makeup and best actress, if they win anything else, that is an insanely like huge jump forward in horror and for body horror and like people like David Cronenberg and like and John Carpenter and so many other people are being like, WTF, where was ours? Like, we we ran so they could walk or whatever. So I would love to see that. I've got a sneaking suspicion though that Sean Baker could end up winning with Nora. I think the movies are going to be all over the place. I, th- I think based on the subject matter, the performance, and everything put together, there's a real good chance he could get it. He did win the DGA, the Directors Guild.
We'll say I won't be mad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it'll just, admittedly, it'll make me feel kind of stupid because I'm kind of just like, oh, it wasn't like my favorite of the year.
Never feel
I
stupid
wouldn't.
about that. It's only an opinion. It's okay.
That's true.
um, this is always supposed to be fun. We're never trying to be down. But all of that to say is that like I don't know. Like this is one of those years that like normally it's like the year of Parasite. It was like, nah, Parasite's probably gonna win. Like the winning best picture and best director was interesting. I believe the original screenplay and international feature were like virtually a lock for it that year, but the director and best picture was like literally making waves of things of in that term. Um and I think the substance I would love to see her win. I
It would
would
be,
love
I
it.
don't know. I still feel like it's gonna go to the brutalist guy, but
Yeah, Brady Corbett.
yeah, we'll
I mean, and because like we talked about representation and stuff before, only 9 women have been nominated, and only 3 of those 9 have ever won. Jane
really.
Campion is the only like repeat nominee, basically for best director and stuff, and she that was for The Piano, and then she won for Power of the Dog like 25 years later or whatever.
I mean, I guess it's an honor alone to be recognized and nominated, but I don't know. Come on, let's shake it up a little bit, you know?
Right? I mean, so then we also get who is it? We also get Catherine Bigelow, who won in 2010 for The Hurt Locker. Chloe Zhao won for No Man Land in 2021, so only 4 years ago. And then yeah, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog in 2022. So that was only 3 years ago. We've gotten they've gotten a little bit more love. I think Coralie, I think she needs to win. I would like to see her win. That would be great.
I was
I will be very upset if James Mangold wins though for A Complete Unknown. That dude has made way better movies than that movie, in
Yeah,
my
I don't know.
opinion.
Let's just put that movie to bed. Like, again, I didn't see it, but like, it hasn't really been winning anything. And I'm just like, let's not, throw a wrench in now.
The last thing we'll say is I'll say Timmy, he learned how to sing and play guitar for it. And the Oscars like that stuff. They like when people go out there and do a thing like that. They also love to make an announcement for somebody, and they also love to reward a lifetime of work. So this is one of those things. Timmy being nominated here, like him not winning for something like Call Me by Your Name, like he was nominated for that. If he would have won for that, that would have been them giving the like, here's the announcement Oscar for you. That's why I think people. That's why he's getting so much love is that he learned how to play guitar and sing, which he didn't know how to do before it. And if you watch the stuff behind the scenes for Doom Part Two, he's like literally strumming around on a guitar, like out in the dudes, out like looking like Paul Atreides and stuff.
Jonathan Bailey was practicing his dance numbers on the set of Bridgerton, and he didn't get any recognition.
You're not wrong though. You're not wrong though. Um,
I
so
don't know. I'm just over it. I don't know. I
I,
think far better performances, far better subject matters. I shouldn't say far better performances because I didn't see it. Again, my bias is showing because I'm over Timothée Chalamet. But like, I don't know.
It's okay.
I would be upset. I would truly be upset. And I know that sounds weird because I did not see it.
So I will say Adrian Brody was like one of my leaders of it to win. But that AI thing both bothers me, but it's also only used in one scene where he
Mhm.
it's like a voiceover scene that he does it. So it's not even him on screen, like it was an ADR scene. So I have a little less of that since it wasn't a scene that like there's one scene where he's like writing a letter or whatever, and he's just speaking over like a black screen or whatever in it. And so they used it during that so that his accent could sound the most Hungarian or whatever. Um, so that bothers me a little. It still bothers me that the AI was used, but since it was only used for that and not like every single scene that he was in, I feel less bad about it, but it still bothers me. It
I don't hate it, but I think the fact that it was kind of like dropped after the fact and after it's gotten all this recognition.
Oh, it's a totally a hit piece. Like the people who drop that like information or whatever, like was totally doing it as a hit piece so that people would detract from it. But I appreciate the honesty of them like not denying it afterwards, of them being like, yeah, we used it. And like Brady Corbet and like his team and everyone, they've all like taken it in stride. Um Sing Sing, a movie that we haven't really talked about yet, but we have both seen now. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Coleman Domingo, I mean, obviously I expected nothing less, but his performance was wonderful. Very well-deserved Oscar nomination. I felt his pain. It made me cry. The movie in general, I thought was great. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There was something about it that where I was like, okay, I kind of wish there was a little bit more about, life inside prison, life outside of prison. I wish they kind of talked a little bit more about how effective these rehabilitation programs actually are. You kind of have to use context clues, which
Mm-hmm.
in general is beautiful because you see in one scene where the theater group is getting smaller and smaller, which goes to show that these men aren't coming back to prison, which is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fantastic, right? Um, but I went into it like really being like, oh, Coleman Domingo, but Clarence Macklin,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think,
Who plays Divine Eye? He's so good.
yes, I
He's
think
he's
it
he's
stand out.
incredible. He's incredible in it. He's one of the co-writers and stuff of it, and like co story authors of it, and I think a producer of it as well. It is those two are so good in it. Everyone in it, I mean, it's something we also haven't talked about. This whole movie is based on Sing Sing Prison and the RTH program, which is rehabilitation through the arts, I believe. Right? That's what it stands for. And they do theater productions of different plays and stuff here. And it is such a great like idea of like showing somebody like Divine Eye in his character of like how he is so like just brought up by like using his own terms, like being brought up as a gangster from the streets, getting mad at people just slightly walking behind him when they're in the middle of a scene because it's blocking. It's not somebody coming around to like stab him or like do him harm. Like they've got a script right there. It's the words are the but changing the way that you literally think about the world by
Yeah,
doing these little actions and stuff, and then feeling like a source of like accomplishment and
yeah,
whatnot in not only then learning the lines, learning the blocking, but then giving the performance and learning how to channel those feelings and stuff. Like one of the best scenes is when Coleman Domingo's Divine G comes up and starts directing Divine Eye, being like, no, so anger is easy, hurt is tough. And like you get these little things that like he's like, you're the king of this. It's like I own that. And like but you feel that and you feel that, and then he's like, now play hurt. Now do that hurt. Change it up. That is real acting and stuff. And it is it's one of those special movies that like it's just like I I,
The
I
process working through, um,
emotions, trauma.
yes. Yeah. I mean, that's basically all I have to say about that movie. I think it's based on a true story. So again, like I said, I do wish there was a little bit, you know, how usually either before or after movies, they'll be
Yeah,
like, this is a depiction of this program, blah, 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 blah. They didn't really share any of that. So I was like, oh, I kind of wish they did. They don't have to. Maybe that's not the point. I don't know. But the acting was absolutely fantastic. I love how they used real life people
that are a
for
part of the program and
yes.
stuff like in there. It's wonderful, and it shows that like rehabilitation, which is what prisons were originally meant for,
Or
can
so they say.
so they say, so they say.
Mhm.
But like it works when you're not just treated like an animal, basically, like in a cage, like on display at the zoo, basically. Like when you're given a chance, and like and that's the beauty of this movie too, is that these other prisoners and stuff talk about that with Divine Eye as he brushes up against all of these people, like they're impassioned of being like, dog, like this means the world to us, like everybody here wants to be here, nobody wants to cause people harm, we all just want to act. And like the one guy, he's like, we all just want to wear the fancy clothes and dress up and stuff, and like it's just like, yeah, that's like the fun in art and the expression and stuff. ah
And it's so great. And like there's the scene between Clarence and Coleman where Clarence is acting very defensive and he calls Coleman the N-word. And Coleman's like, we don't use that word here. We call each other beloved. And I was like, and then when he starts using it, I was like, oh,
yeah,
the process is working.
right, right. And that's just like simple support, because like Coleman Domingo doesn't say, like, he gets what Divine in that scene when he's like, hey, like, this is my spot, this is the place where I feel most calm or
Yeah.
whatever. And like Divine's Eye, like, this is a dark hallway, man, what are you trying to do here? And like all of that is great because there's mutual respect there on both of their parts. Like Divine Eye doesn't actually like try and kill Divine G by bringing him there. They listen to each other. They both make their statements, and it's like, you feel me on that? Like they both say it, and they both leave having a little bit different understanding of each other and of the situation, but they're both like building that bridge and that bond to like move forward and stuff, which is just like it's great. And that's why I think he should have been nominated for best supporting actor. There could be like more category fraud that him and Coleman Domingo like would be co-leads, which is a fair assessment. I don't think it's 100% true. I do think it becomes their story by the end of it, but like Divine Eye, I feel like, is actually a supporting character in the end.
I agree.
It's really Coleman Domingo's story. Like, is like
Yeah.
who we're really watching there. Um, but that's Sing Sing. So
Yeah,
good.
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I think it didn't get as much credit as it deserved. Another one that kind of like flew under the radar, very similarly to Conclave.
Yeah.
Um, and Coleman Domingo is just fantastic. Like
He's so good. I'm
any like
so
red carpet he shows up to, I'm like, okay, like he's great.
I'm I'm so excited for him to be in the new Edgar Wright flick. They're doing the remake of The Running Man, which is a Stephen King book underneath his like moniker Stephen Bachman or whatever. But it was originally an Arnold movie that is like crazy, kind of like Arnold actiony, and they changed a bunch from it. But Glenn Powell is the lead.
Oh,
Yeah, Glenn Powell's the lead, and so there's this like Hunger Game kind of like aspect to it, and Coleman Domingo is like the announcer host person of it. So
Okay.
I'm super stoked to see Coleman Domingo. I hope he gets to play it a little bit big.
Uh-huh.
Because like if he gets to play it just a little bit big, oh man, Coleman Domingo's gonna eat that shit up, and it'll be awesome. But yeah, Glenn Powell, big fan. He's gonna be in it. Edgar Wright is one of my all-time favorite directors. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Baby Driver. Like, come on, what hasn't this man done? And Last Night in Soho, which is I really like that movie. It's kind of divisive against some people, but I fucking love that movie.
I've never seen it.
Oh, so good. I mean, Edgar Wright has
I have
done
to
no
make a
wrong.
list.
Like Edgar Wright has done zero wrong in my eyes. Scott Pilgrim is like one of the single greatest movies ever, but Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz is still awesome. Like
Funny.
fucking the best village award. Oh my god, crazy. Uh 22nd of February. When's your birthday? 22nd of February. What year? Every year. One of them. It's only because it's the 22nd of February right now
So funny.
that I quote that. But yeah, Edgar Wright. So the Running Man, going to be awesome. Can't wait. Glenn Powell, he'll probably get an Oscar nomination for it. If we're going to be honest. Uh, okay, so actors. I mean, we already talked about Sebastian Stan. Anything else about Ray Fiennes that you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we kind
Okay.
of spoke about all that on the last one.
So finally, before we move on, who is your final pick to win Best Actor in a leading role?
I think I'm just gonna go with the rational answer here and say it's probably gonna be Adrian Brody.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to be Chalamet. I don't think it'll be Coleman, unfortunately.
I agree. So it's one of those things where it's like I definitely don't see Sebastian Stan winning this.
Mhm.
I don't think Ray Fiennes can win, but he could be a sneaky sleeper possibly.
Maybe.
Um, there's two things that I think that could take Adrian Brody, excuse me, out of the running. Is the little AI controversy of it that could have been enough, but he's also won before, and he was the youngest actor to ever win an Oscar at 29 years old.
Is that for the pianist?
Yep, for The Pianist. And so now there's a chance that Timmy could dethrone him at 28 with that win. But if it's not Adrian Brody then, and it's not Sebastian Stan, then we're literally left with Timmy, Coleman Domingo, and Ray Fiennes. Coleman and Timmy both have never won. Coleman has a lifetime work of body of like a body of work that like he's been more recently kind of nominated in his latter years and stuff. I don't want to say like the second half of his career. Latter years might be offensive to him. He's still acting and he's still pretty young. Anyhow, so like he could actually take it from Tim. Like if I'm being honest, my pick Coleman Domingo. Coleman
I
Domingo. Coleman Domingo is my pick.
That
I
would make me extremely happy, but I don't know. I'm not confident in it.
my my hope is for Coleman Domingo. I would love to see him, but if I were to put money on it, I would say probably Timmy will win. And it's because I think Timmy will win because he learned how to play the guitar and he learned. I know that just grinds your gears, but like I think it could be Timmy's year. Now here's the thing: if it's Timmy's year, there's a good chance that that dude might take some time off. He might do some schlocky kind of movies to where he doesn't get all the acclaim and stuff anymore. You never
I
know.
doubt
So
doubt it, but I mean, I just have to accept it. I'll watch the movie and I'll try to go into it with as much of an open mind as possible.
so I will say for actress in a supporting role, watch A Complete Unknown for Monica Barbaro because she really is good. Like
Okay.
like if I'm being honest, like that was like a truly I've never seen anything that Monica's ever been in. I'm pretty sure this is like her calling card. She might have done like one or two minor things, but like she's no Ariana Grande, she's no Felicity Jones or anything like that. She doesn't have like a bunch of stuff underneath her belt. Um, she plays Joan Baez, and like again learns how to play the guitar, learned how to sing, and phenomenal. Like she's really good. Um, I would I want Zoe Saldana to win. We've
I think
talked about this. She is my pick. I want her to win. If anybody wins over Zoe, it's going to be Monica Barbara.
good.
I really do. Because my hot take, we can just do this now. My hot take is Ariana Grande is good, not great in Wicked. Is
Overrated.
that is that her singing on par? Like her singing, she's a good singer. She is a good singer, and you got to have somebody who's got the vocal work to be able to pull off that role. So like, I don't think she's like badly cast. I just think her performance has been overrated. Um, and so like because like her toss and stuff is like is like the craziest shit in the world to
It's in
me.
the play. She didn't bring any originality to the character. And I know I'm gonna have some haters for saying that because everyone loves Ariana. Her comedic timing is absolutely fantastic. Yes, she has some pipes on her, but unlike Cynthia Erivo, she did not bring any originality to the character. Some people are like, oh, well, she ad-libbed some of the quirky scenes where she like slams the book down and screams, right. But it's like, that's not an Oscar performance for me.
Yeah,
Like it was silly and it was great, and it's almost like the character is like written for her in some aspects. But again, she didn't bring anything to the table that Kristen Chenoweth didn't already bring to the
yeah.
stage.
So so yeah, that's where I say without a doubt I want Zoe, but if anyone beats Zoe, it'll be Monica, I believe. In my humbled opinion. So actor in a supporting role. I mean, we can talk about anyone else, but it's gonna be Kieran Culkin. Like, I mean,
It's going to be a sweep at this point, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. The dude's just been sweeping everything. There isn't an award he hasn't won for this. Um, I guess if they were to be crazy, I would say with I don't want to say without a doubt, but my second pick, if it's going to be anybody else other than Kieran, it's Edward Norton. His
Mhm.
performance in A Complete Unknown is also very good as Pete Seeger. I like that Yora Borisov for Nora. He plays Igor. I like that he got nominated. He's really good. I think I even talked about it. He's like gotten a bunch of accolades over in Russia and stuff. But he's great. I like his performance in Nora. I think his nomination is well deserved. I don't think that dude has a snowball's chance in dethroning Kiernan. So Kiernan all the way.
Yeah, totally agree. That role was made for him.
So now let's go into screenplays. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do original or do you want to do adapted?
I don't think I have as much to give for adapted.
Okay,
Um,
let's
you
do
know,
original first.
yeah. Um, I feel very strongly about this one, and I hope it will be a real pain. That's my pick, and I'm sticking to it, period.
There you go. Um, I so a real pain is really good, and that has so that Brutalist and Honora have all won like
Yeah.
recent awards and stuff. It's
Mhm.
it's important to note that Honora did win the WGA for original. Um, Interesting. I I'm going with my heart here. For original screenplay, I want the substance to win.
Okay.
I want the substance to win, but I really think mm, it's gotta be Honora. No, 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 no. I want the substance to win, but you know what? Let's give a real pain some love here. I agree. I think a real pain could. I think a real pain could really win. Like it's a legit good flick. It's a tight flick. Um, and it has won the. I think it won a BAFTA for original, and
It did win the BAFTA.
yeah.
Which
So
I was
like
so happy to see. I was so happy to see it. I don't know. That's just like in the notes that I wrote, I had some where I was like, oh, this is my rational vote, but then I have like an emotional vote, and I think this is absolutely an emotional vote.
Mhm.
Just think the movie hit way more on an emotional level, and the writing was just so beautiful. That's just period.
Yeah, period, no more. Excellent. Um, so adapted. Oh no, adapted. You've seen Sing Sing, Amelia Perez, and Conclave.
Oh yeah. This has always been an interesting category for me because I'm like, okay, well, in order to really get the full effect, like, should I have read the book or the whatever existed prior to the movie coming?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't read Conclave, so how can I compare like the two? That's just a thought that goes through my mind when I think of this category. You know what I'm saying?
That is such a unique take to it of being like, should you have read the source material before it? Because like my
But adapted
initial
book, right? So it's like,
my initial thing always is if you have the time, do both, you know, like read whatever original thing or see whatever original thing. Because to make a true comparison, you'll have to know.
right.
But the idea of adapting then is like when you take one thing from one medium, whether it be a book, a comic, or whatever, and you put it to screen, to film like that, there's usually always some sort of addition that you have to do or some sort of subtraction. Like books, you typically have narration. The one thing that like people have always complained, I know you're not a huge superhero fan, but Batman has an internal monologue where he's usually working out all of the problems and like solving the detective mysteries. Like, yeah, he does some experiments on the computer and like puts, you know, liquids into other tubes and whatnot. But like a lot of that is him like reworking through all of like the evidence that he has found. And as he's like sitting there going and, you know, running it through, you get that the most recently in Robert Pattinson in the
Mhm.
Batman. Like that's the closest thing you get to like that little journaling and stuff of him like kind of doing that and kind of talk. That's the closest you've ever gotten to like that internal monologue from Batman. And
Mhm.
so then you either lose it or you figure out how to make it work. And that's usually then where an adaptation comes from. Like, what do you like from Harry Potter and stuff?
Yeah.
Perfect example. That first Harry Potter book. There are four different tasks that they do before Harry meets Voldemort at the end with the mirror.
Hmm.
But in the movie, we only see three. Why do
Yeah.
we only see three? Because each one of those kids needs to pass the test and
Yeah.
show that they are capable of doing something on their own. The thing is that you get that extra one of Hermione because she is truly the most brilliant of them all. That's why she gets both the devil's snare and the potion at the end of those before Harry goes on and then Hermione goes back and saves Ron or goes finds him from like the chess field and stuff. So, but like when you're adapting something, you got to make those choices. Like
Right.
we only have time. Each person only needs one task. So does the cutting of it or does adding something of it like an internal monologue that hasn't been there? Does that make it better or worse?
Hmm.
And so that's such an interesting question. Like because for me, I'm always just like I just want to see the movie and
Right.
then I'll kind of go back to the original thing unless again it's like a superhero thing where I've read most of that original stuff or whatever they're trying to like pull from. um Interesting question.
Well, you
Fucking
always hear from people like, oh, if I hadn't read the book, but I see the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, the movie was so great. But then you hear from people who read the book that are like, no, it really wasn't. So I'm like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. So I don't know if I can fully grasp this specific category, but I'll say conclave just because I wanted to win something.
right. I mean, Conclave is the favorite to win.
Yeah.
Again, after watching both Nickel Boys and Sing Sing, love seeing that they're here.
Yeah.
Love seeing that those two movies are getting accolades because they're both very good movies. I think Sing Sing also could have been nominated for Best Picture. I kind of would have liked to have seen it, but the acting, original song, and adapted screenplay is great. Like that's great for a movie like that, especially about people being in prison and being reformed, and like them going back out into society, and all of that kind of stuff is just like great. So the little bit of recognition that it has gotten, same thing with Nickel Boys. It got Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay, which is great. And kind of crazy. Like that movie is really good. It's shot incredibly well. It's such a different, unique way of shooting things that it's one of those movies that it's just like didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
And
We need
like
more of that too. And
and
maybe that's why I'm so hard on like a complete unknown because I'm like I'm over these like biopics. Like I want more like original concepts and ideas.
that's fair. I mean, there's and again, you're with James Mangold, who knows what he's doing for a musical biopic or a music biopic with like Walk the Line and A Complete Unknown. It is good. It's not bad. It's not like a bad 2 hours. Like I've watched way worse movies for
Yeah.
sure, and like been like, what? I'll never get these 2 hours back. But like A Complete Unknown, I was like, all right. I just had questions about how they depicted some things about like Bob Dylan and whatnot.
I
But
mean,
I
to be
liked
honest,
it.
I don't know much about Bob Dylan, so maybe that's what didn't draw me.
That's fair too. Whereas
But
like Johnny Cash, like Walk the Line is amazing. I love Johnny Cash. Like that music
read
means
the
a lot
book,
to me.
so yeah, hmm I loved Walk the Line. It was so good. It was good.
It It was. Okay. So I think we've talked through, we did both writing, we did supporting, we did lead actors, we did picture and director. We got our 8 categories. We touched on a few other ones. Um, who do you have for adapted? Did you say Conclave? Yes, you did say Conclave. I do agree with Conclave. Um, I would, if it's not Conclave, I'd like to see Nickel Boys win. I think that would be a cool win for them. Um,
That'll be
just
my
so
next
that what?
Nickel Boys. I was just saying that'll
Oh,
be my next watch.
there you go. Is there any other? Oh, you know what? I've got one more hot take for
Mhm.
best original score. Wicked.
Yeah.
It's a musical, right? It's a stage musical. How can it be nominated for best original score if they're adapting it from a musical?
Wait,
Like
it was? Which
it's
song?
no Wicked itself overall as the score,
Oh, the
best original.
score.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas like Wicked is nominated for Best Original Score, and that's where I'm like, wait a second, but isn't there like actual like scored music in like the musical itself? Like I know it's
It's literally
no,
as
yeah.
the thing. So that's interesting.
So like yeah, the
Well,
fact that
not
it's nominated for Best Original Score is like I'm like this is category fraud.
really. Yeah.
This,
Challengers should have been in there.
yeah, I mean give somebody else, right? I love that Wild Robot is in there. I think Conclave should win Best Original Score. As of right now, Wicked is like in the running of that. But I would love to see Conclave win Best Original Score. Um, if not Conclave, I want Wild Robot because Wild Robot deserves an Oscar win. That movie's really good. Um, do you have any other category or anything else you want to talk about before we kind of wrap things up here?
I don't think so. I think we've touched on basically everything. I think it's very well known now that I'm swinging for the fences for the substance and a real pain. I think those
Yes. Those are definitely the ones that you want.
conflict.
I I want Conclave for adapted as well. We both love Conclave. Substance winning anything else other than makeup and best lead actress will be like huge.
Yeah.
It insanely huge for Oscars, and like it'll actually probably show more so of like a kind of a change of the tide that has kind of been happening since like Parasite basically
Yeah.
with that movie. So like that'll be good. Yeah, the Oscars are fun.
I'm
This
so
has been this has been a blast. Oh, one final thing about the Oscars that I don't know if I said in episode 1. one of the things that I love, or I used to love about Chicago here, is that the Oscars were made here, like the actual statues themselves. They were
Hey,
they were they were made in Chicago from like 1982 to 2016. So
I
literally,
have that.
virtually are that's why I got this shirt, because they had the like Oscar like little museum storefront thing on like Michigan Avenue for like a long time, of where you could buy little like shirts and tchotchkes and stuff like that. But
Such
yeah,
a, how did I not know that?
so from 1982 to 2016, so virtually like our whole life, the Oscars were made here, and only once in my life did I ever pick up a shirt from
So
that,
cool.
and
I'm
it
gonna
was
remember
actually from my
that.
mom.
I'm gonna remember that and I'm gonna brag about it moving forward. Especially when people try to brag about New York. I'm gonna be like, nope.
Well,
Make that.
unfortunately, now they're the company that currently makes it is in New
Damn
York.
it.
I know they took it back.
But we made the OG.
Yeah,
I don't
but that's one of my favorite things. Like little bits of like Oscar knowledge is that yeah, we used to make them here and then ship them out over to Cali. Um, so with that, I want to thank you all for joining us. We hope you all stay safe. We will see you in the real world. I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, and this is.
know.
And thanks for joining us, Becky. This has been a pleasure. Um, Oscars, everybody, March 2nd. Watch it. Watch the red carpet. When we come back for episode 3, we'll talk about some dresses and stuff on there. Who won? Who won the balls and all of that, and the gowns. And we'll talk about. We'll find out how good we did from our ESPN app and how we did on these picks here. But as always, thank you for joining me, Becky. It has been a pleasure, and see you, everyone.